It was what many consider the most dangerous moment the world has ever faced, the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, which saw the United States square off over nuclear missiles stationed by the Soviet Union in Cuba. This week marks the 50th anniversary of the beginning of the tense standoff. And while the politics of the Cold War have little relevance for us Latin American relations today, in some ways the U.S. finds itself in the very position that set the stage for conflict in the first place, says Philip Brenner, a historian of the missile crisis. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. American University. With U.S. influence waning in the region, Latin America is forging ahead with its own agenda. It was not only the containment of communism that drove U.S. attempts to oust Fidel Castro from the helm of Cuba in the early 1960s, says Mr. Brenner. The U.S. was also concerned about Latin American countries emulating Cuba, particularly its geopolitical stance in the Cold War, and thus undermining American leadership in the Western Hemisphere. Some 50 years later, the U.S. faces the same situation, just a more modern iteration. What the U.S. feared. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Most in 1962 has come to pass, says Brenner, who authored Sad and Luminous Days, Cuba's struggle with the superpowers after the missile crisis. We were concerned about our sphere of influence that we had taken for granted. Today we cannot dominate this region anymore. They do not look to us for leadership. Countries look within the region, and to some extent to Cuba still. Related, think you know Latin America? Take our geography quiz. After the terrorist attacks of 9/11, the U.S. turned its attention from Latin America as it focused. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. On terrorism and threats from the Middle East. At the same time, over the past decade Latin American democracy has flourished and the global economy shifted, with Latin America no longer looking just north to the U.S. for leadership and investment, but to India, China, and Russia. China surpassed the U.S. as Brazil's biggest trading partner in 2009.